when she first came, I taught her how to knock. I've got casements and windows in there, and I told her how to knock the window out, the screen out, and you jumped if there was a problem. But I said, Lisa, it's 4 feet down. It's better than being burned up.
Oh, yeah.
What are you going to do, lose a leg?
You'll be okay. Thanks for joining us again on a Veterans to Veterans Group video podcast. Chuck?
All right, so we're with Sandy, who is one of our first cases, actually 35th case, but definitely our first big case.
Yes.
Who's a caregiver of her daughter, who is an Army veteran who was in a bad car accident and lost her leg. But we're going to speak more today about you as a caregiver with your husband and kind of some of the things that you had to endure. So your husband was in the Air Force?
Yes.
For how long?
33 years.
33 years. And he served overseas in Vietnam?
He was, boots on, even though he was Air Force, he was boots on the ground in Saigon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when he retired, what was the biggest change that you witnessed from his military life to becoming civilian?
He didn't do well.
The transition wasn't great?
No. His former commander was one of his close friends, and I talked to him about how bad things were getting, but Rick would, and he was an interpreter, but he also loaded the body bags that run in bomb.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And he would, after he retired, he would throw himself off the bed sometimes at night screaming, it's black, it's black, it's black. And I asked the psychiatrist what was going on. He said, it's body bags. And he said, you'll never forget that and the smell. And he had dual careers. He was active duty during the Vietnam era, then he went into active reserve.
Okay.
And then, because right out of high school, he worked for the Postal Service. So he worked for them for 37 years. And he was gone all the time. And his commander said what Rick did was he was running faster than the memories. He was trying to get away from it. He said when this happens, we call it a meltdown or hitting the wall. And he said he hit the wall. Yeah. And I'm sorry.
Oh, no, please, take your time too if something's too difficult.
No, it's he's been gone. The 29th of November will be 19 years. It never stops.
It doesn't get easier.
He was 59 years old when he died, and I never even got to tell him goodbye.
Well, so Eric and I have done many interviews with veterans from the Korean War veteran up until and including Vietnam, and our own experience. We never really had a caregiver's perspective specifically with the Vietnam era. We know you come from a long line of service members. Even your grandson now is in the Army, right? Lisa's son?
Lisa's youngest son, Dakota, he's 34, 35 now. He was an Army Ranger. But during his tour in Afghanistan, he said they came back and the guys would joke about killing people. And I know it's probably their way of coping, but Cody couldn't handle it. He said, Grandma, I'm done. This is not funny.
It's not funny. He's right.
He said, I'm done. I'm getting out. So he got out.
And good for him for not being part of that type of culture.
He said, I just
didn't have enough forethought.
Yeah.
It was horrible for him. And he doesn't talk much about the things that happened.
Oftentimes that's the case with veterans. Did your husband speak about his experiences often with you, or did he kind of internalize it?
No, he internalized it.
Yeah.
And
did he receive any treatment from the VA?
No, because do you remember the movie Dead Poet Society?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My father-in-law was a colonel in the Air Force, and
so his father.
And Dad was a very caring, loving, do anything for anybody person. But he had two sons, 10 years apart. Rick was the oldest. Rick was the perfect child that never did anything wrong, and the youngest was a screw-up. He had his first drunk driving arrest when he was 18. And Dad covered his butt.
Oh.
Dad never made him face the music. Well, in 1995, Dad got colon cancer. And he called me one morning and told me what was going on. And I knew. He's, because I was a nurse years ago.
Yeah.
And I said, what color is it? And he told me, and we gave him the doctor, and it had already metastasized to his liver and his kidneys. They told us he'd live 3 months. He was with us 18 months. 9 admissions, 5 major surgery, colostomy, everything was going bad, going from 213 to 100 pounds. But Dad taught Rick to just suck it up.
A very classic and antiquated, if I might say, way of looking at things.
But that was Dead Poet Society.
Yeah.
Remember the father that expected this kid to do what the father wanted him to do?
Just deal with it and do it.
And Rick said he would have gotten out, or his dad wanted him to stay in active duty completely and forget everything else. But he didn't want to do that full time.
Right.
That's why he did what he did. Well, it ended up killing him because we didn't know it until after he fell down the flight of stairs here. When they airlifted him to Maine Med, and I'm running down there in the middle of the night because I can't get on a helicopter. And I said, did he have a heart attack? She said, no, he had a heart incident. She said, I understand he was military. And I said, yeah. She says, Vietnam? And I said, yeah. And she says, it's called ischemic heart disease. It was listed as one of the problems with Agent Orange, but only a month or two before Rick died, and nobody notified us. If we had known about it, maybe we could have done something about it.
Right.
So I'm angry at the military because I filed a case for Agent Orange 18 years ago. And they're just waiting for me to croak so they don't ever have to deal with it. And they said, well, he's cremated, so what do you... And I said, a man that stands there, and when he came back from Vietnam all the time, he would dig his head and his arms and his legs until the blood would run. It was nerve damage.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get anybody to do anything. I remember going upstairs in California one time, and he was sitting in the corner, and he was having chest pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was just stress. I didn't realize till later he'd been having trouble all along, and he hit it. When
he hit it from you?
He hit it from everybody.
From everybody. Yeah,
well,
jeez.
After he died, this bathroom in here, he kept all of his, because women have a lot of crap.
Yeah.
So he kept all of his stuff in this bathroom medicine cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of months after he died, I thought, I have to start just getting rid of this stuff. So I'm going through the medicine cabinet, and here's a bottle, it's about this big around, about this tall, said multivitamins on it. And I was just going to pitch it. I picked it up, and it's clanging. It's not pills. And I opened it up, and there's a vial of nitroglycerin tablets.
Oh.
But the label had been ripped off. He did that purposely.
Yeah.
I called his doctor, and I said, did you order this? He said, it wasn't me, Sandy. So I had no way to track down what doctor he got it from.
Where'd he get it? Yeah.
But he'd been taking nitroglycerin from chest pain for quite a while probably, and I never knew about it. His dad taught him to never show weakness, just suck it up. His mother was the wife of a colonel in the Air Force that back then expected to look pretty and give parties.
Right.
She never even learned to drive a car.
Right.
I mean, that was the way things were back then. And I remember going over to the house once and listening to the banter, and she'd be mad at him for something. And she said, in my next life, I'm not coming back as a wife of a colonel in the Strategic Air Command. And he said, you had it good. In my next life, I'm coming back as the wife of a colonel. And this argued all the time.
Right, it's back and forth, right.
He could not understand what she was going through. She never learned to drive a car. She had maids all the time.
Yeah.
She had no life. And
And he didn't understand what the problem with
He
that
didn't,
was.
he got her maids, he
Right.
bought her anything she wanted. He didn't understand what was going on. He was never home.
Yeah,
And-
and that's the problem.
That was a problem.
Yeah.
Never home.
Yeah, there's no genuine communication.
So she literally smoked herself to death. When she died, she weighed 45 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And she'd had a stroke back in 65. She died in 89. And she just chain smoked one right after the other. The house was always closed up. And after she died, Brian went in and repainted the house. You had to wash all the walls, and it was just brown from all the years of smoking. Dad ended up with emphysema, and he never smoked. It was secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the way Rick was raised. So you don't show weakness, you suck it up, you don't talk about it. That was his life.
Why do you think Rick didn't share the fact that he was taking nitroglycerin or anything like that with you? Did he not want to worry you, or
Yeah.
he just was trying to protect you?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was him. Yep. That was exactly what he was doing.
And that's a byproduct of the way he was raised.
That was
Yeah.
That was the way he was raised.
Yeah, we run into, the three of us in the office, we run into that mentality, the philosophy, very often with veterans. Even, you'd be surprised to know, even modern day veterans from our conflicts.
We're the same way with our wives.
It's still very prevalent in the military community, is to deal with it on your own. But
Yeah, you don't show weakness.
you kind of just deal with it to one degree or another, and it's tough.
That, but then it's also the things that we have to see in war, no matter the generation. One, to try and explain that to somebody who hasn't been in any training, let alone who hasn't been there, especially the people we care about, our wives, our kids. It's more about protecting you than it is about our own, and that's a big part of it.
Well, he also didn't have peers to talk to, because Rick could have gone in as an officer. He had a college degree,
Yeah.
political science,
Right.
but he wanted to be in the trenches.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he was 27 when he went in.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a lot older than the young.
That's very true. He was the old man. In
Yeah,
the
he was the
group.
old man, and his commanding officer was younger than he. Younger
Right.
when he was.
Yeah.
And he
Right.
told me, he said, after Rick died, he said, Rick was a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, no kidding. And it had to be exact, da-da-da-da. He said, if you ever needed something done, Rick was the guy to take care of it, because you never had to second guess anything. It was just handled.
Yeah.
And he said, I kind of knew the stress he was under, but he wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Even with his commanding officer.
now, even with his
Yeah.
commanding officer, he's now working for Raytheon.
Oh,
down in-
Raytheon's a good company.
Yeah, is it Arizona, New Mexico, or somewhere down there?
Yeah.
But anyway, I saw him at a reunion of his unit back in 2016, I think it was. And we talked about it for a while, and it killed him when Rick died, because he said he was family to me. Mm-hmm. He was like a big brother, and nobody expected it.
Yeah, because he didn't talk about it
No,
with
he
anybody.
didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
But
We say that. I mean, our motto is family through service. A lot of people, especially young people, oh, hey, bud, hey, bro. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but when Eric and I and a lot of our veteran friends, it's just as important as being blood-related,
Yeah.
knowing you've been... And like Eric and I, we were in Iraq around the same time. We had no idea. We were basically fighting the same fight. There's a lot of things that we have in similarity, but we didn't know each other until about 12 years ago.
Right.
So it's something we take very seriously. Now with Rick, was there ever any indications that he wanted to take his own life?
no, he wasn't suicidal. But after he died, I went through the medical cabinet, but it took me years to get so I could go through everything, because it was like getting rid of his stuff was like getting rid of him.
No,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
And nobody wants to
When I was
feel
going
like
through
that,
all the
yeah.
old files upstairs one day, there was a letter that he had written to me not too long before he died. And he wanted me to know that it wasn't you. You didn't do anything wrong. You have to forgive yourself. Because I blame myself for so many things.
Yeah.
He said, I don't think you have to forgive yourself. I don't think you have anything to be forgiven for. He said, you did what you needed to do, and it was just a product of the way things happened. And, it was amazing that he left that letter for me. He didn't give it to me before he died. I think he knew I would find it.
I think so too.
Oh, yeah.
And that was his way of opening up and giving you closure, because the way he was raised, I feel, he wasn't able to communicate that with you, so he wrote it for you
Well, Dad
as a gift.
stole. Nobody ever talked about feelings in that family.
Right.
Then it just didn't exist.
That generation.
Rick
wouldn't-
was the oldest, or Rick's dad was the oldest of 8 kids, so he was brought up, my mother-in-law was one of the Kennedy clan. He was brought up that you just handle it. That's just
deal
the
with
way
it.
it is. You just handle it. And one of the things that killed me was when his dad died and when Rick died, I had to call Ted Kennedy. I hated talking to that man. I think he got away with murder. I think the women in the Kennedy clan were long suffering. And there wasn't any of them that weren't Flanders. It just, maybe politically they did some good things, but as men, I didn't have much use for them. And he just kind of shrugged it off.
As
it's no big deal, But I felt like I had to notify him.
Well, yeah, you're trying to do the right thing.
You're doing what you have to do. Right.
Rick's favorite
Sorry.
cousin was what's the other one?
Bobby Kennedy.
Bobby.
Yeah.
He loved Bobby, but we didn't have much use for Ted,
Yeah.
and he didn't deal a lot with John, but Bobby was his buddy.
Yeah.
Like Bobby Kennedy now? Robert?
No,
Oh.
no, the one that died.
Okay.
But he grew up in an environment on both sides of the family that were military and didn't talk about things publicly. You just didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's
Even
like-
the Kennedy family now, they don't talk about things
Yeah, it's
publicly.
like two
They just
different
don't,
things.
yeah.
No,
So you
it's
got
just
like
they stuff it.
the military aspect, but then you have the aristocratic, like deal with it internally because you don't want a bad name to come. So you have that pressure from both sides of the family. That I can see how difficult that would be.
So I think the letter he wrote for you was absolutely a gift,
Oh,
and probably difficult for him to write,
I'm sure it was.
to verbalize what he was obviously feeling and thinking, but to put it into words, big deal for him to do.
I'm just grateful that he didn't live to see this happen to her.
There's that too, there's always a plan for things. We actually were talking about that on the write up here, that there's always a plan. We might not understand the plan, but there's always a plan. I know this is difficult for you to talk about, but I think it's probably cathartic for you to get it out and to talk about it a little bit. But the other thing to understand is that for the people who watch our videos and the people who hear what we have to say and like what you have to say is, they're probably going through very similar things, and they don't have anybody also to share their stories with or to speak to. So when they hear your story and they hear you talk about Rick and they hear about the way Rick was raised and the way you're going through these things and like the way you're a caregiver for Lisa now too, they can feel a connection with you, even though they don't know you, to know that they're not alone in what they're doing. Because so many caregivers feel alone. Because they feel like, even though they know intellectually that they're not the only caregiver out in the world, but they feel in their heart, nobody else knows what this is like.
Well,
And it's just not true,
What's made it difficult for me is Rick died of a massive brain injury
Yeah.
because he crushed a brain stem when he went down the flight of stairs. Lisa had a massive brain injury, and her daughter that was run down by a drunk driver 2 years ago died of a massive brain injury. The guy
Yeah.
left her dead in the street. I haven't ever shown it to Lisa, but I have the death certificate, and it says cause of death, blunt force trauma to the head, time of impact to death, seconds to minutes. She was gone.
Yeah.
She wants to kill the guy.
Well,
That's
he
the
was-
soldier
that's
in
the
her.
soldier in her, and the mama bear.
He'd had multiple drunk driving arrests, and
And he's still out there.
you know what makes me angry, because I was in law enforcement, what makes me angry is, they put the boot on the car, which they do a lot in California, or they take the driver's license. You idiots, do you think taking a piece of paper stops people from driving?
No.
Excuse me. You need to impound the car and sell the stupid thing.
Yeah,
and every time
take
they
it
get
away.
another car, take the car away from them.
Yeah.
Because the paper doesn't mean crap.
No.
We had a case down here, probably 40 miles south of here, off of 16 one time. They arrested a guy that was on his 9th DUI. 9th DUI.
Ninth. I
And
mean,
he's still driving.
that's ridiculous. It's
And it
beyond
happens
ridiculous.
it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a high incidence of alcoholism in veterans.
It's true. Very
There-
true.
There's some drug issues.
Mm-hmm.
A
We
lot,
talk about that all the
a
time.
lot of family issues
Mm-hmm.
because women have a tendency to want to be the caregiver and take care of them, and they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and the mental health is not, especially since COVID, and we talk about this a lot up here in the North Country. The mental health is there's almost nothing there unless you're having a psychotic break. There's no
Yeah.
mid to long
Yeah.
term.
Yeah, it's like with Lisa. I have a Facebook page, and it was almost like a blog
Yeah,
for the last 7 years. Every day, is she still in a coma? All of my family and friends, this was my way of sharing the information with them. And I was starting to say something, can't remember what it was.
Well, you're doing a blog for
Oh,
Lisa.
but anyway, they wondered how I was handling it. And I said, I'm the elder of the family. They're all dead. Most of my friends are dead that are, in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. They're
Yeah.
gone. I said, I'm it. There is nobody else to take care of it anymore, so I have to. The VA has told me many times that maybe we should put her in a home. I said, oh, my dead body.
Yeah, it's not.
I said,
an
we
option.
battle sometimes, but I know Lisa well enough that if we were to institutionalize her, I think she'll give up. I don't think she'll live very long.
I don't
You
even
know
Because
your daughter.
she will think mom is deserting her.
I don't even know her the way that you do, but I know that the little bit of time that she was at Fort Campbell and she was being separated for her medical,
Well, that was during COVID.
immediately
Oh, yeah.
went downhill.
She was
Her
not
mental
yeah. And we
health
fought.
and-
We fought. Chuck and I were fighting on both coasts,
Oh,
and you.
I was so angry about that.
Yeah.
They said, we can't put her back at your house because you're not in our jurisdiction. I said, well, you've got it at her brother's in Ohio as her duty station.
Like that doesn't make sense. Yeah, we fought hard
It
for
was
that.
ridiculous. She
Yeah.
was in that stinking hospital by herself during COVID, in a room by herself for 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah.
She
so
saw,
stupid.
they brought in her meals. She saw a nurse or a doctor once a day. She was 100% by herself.
Yeah, it's not right.
But here's, massive brain injury. She already had a shopping problem before she ever got hurt.
Right.
And the brain injury makes it worse.
Yeah.
There was a phone in the room and there was a television.
QVC.
She saw QVC.
She was doing that here when she first
Yeah.
came here
Oh,
too.
she ordered a credit card. She didn't even know where she lived. She ordered a credit card for whatever reason. She knew my address.
Right. So
She had the credit
sending
card
stuff to mom.
sent to my address, and because of the brain injury, she craved
Lisa.
sugar like an alcoholic.
We remember
she
that
ordered
story,
$90 worth of candy and had it shipped here. I
Because-
contacted QVC and I said, "Do you have any idea who you were giving a credit card to?" And so we shipped all this stuff back.
Lisa.
But I have to. She hates it. I have to be the policeman.
You have to be
Yeah,
a
I
warden.
have
you gotta
to-
we got to be the warrior.
I have to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And she hates it. But she doesn't understand why she does it. She doesn't understand. Well, you saw her room. Her walk-in closet is packed. And downstairs, she has bins and bins and bins of stuff. It's like, I told Lisa, there's no room to put anything anymore. If you want to bring stuff in, social worker was here the other day from the VA. She's talking to Lisa, and Lisa said, I only get $20 a week allowance. That was set up by the attorney that represented her in New Hampshire for the
Fiduciary amount or whatever.
He said, Sandy, if she had, she had a lot of money
guardianship.
because she had the brain injury and lost a leg, insurance, and she wants access to it. He said, I said, do you deal with this kind of stuff? He said, all the time. He said, I've got her medical records. He said, I can tell you that if she had access to the bank account, it'll be gone in 2 months, and it won't make any rhyme or reason. Whether it fits, it's just pretty. She said, Sandy, she cannot have access to money. Well, she hates that.
Oh, yeah.
And then, when that red truck and trailer out there,
Yeah.
that's hers. And when she first came, I told her team, I said, the keys are hidden to the truck. She said, why? I said, you don't understand Lisa. I said, she would get out of bed at night, she would get in her wheelchair, she'd get out to the truck, and she'd pull herself in there, and she'll drive.
Yeah, who knows what she'll
You
do.
have no idea what she's capable of.
Yeah, especially if
They
she
said,
wants to.
you're kidding. And I said, no, you don't know my daughter. She is very bullheaded. She's doesn't take no for an answer. And finally, this is the neuro doctor that she deals with video has been putting it off for years. But this last year, he finally told her in one of the sessions, because she never shuts up about it. I want my money and I want to drive my truck. That's her big thing. He said, Lisa, you're never going to be able to drive. Why? I know where the gas and the brake are, and He said, but you don't have the reaction time. You don't have the processing
It's
of
being
danger.
real. The reality of
Yeah,
it.
the reality of it. And she went off on him.
Oh, boy.
And then he said, you cannot have access to your bank account. Why? It's my money. And he said, I know that. He said, if you had access to all this money, what would you buy with it? I don't know. I just want my money. That's the way it was. And in her mind, she has no understanding. She can't conceptualize the problems.
Right. There's a disconnect there. And
So she
that's the way
sees
it
me.
is, yeah.
She sees me as the wall.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm the bad guy. She's
Well,
mad
now
at
that
hell.
person's the bad person.
Whoever tells her no
Right.
is not good.
So if you to kind of wrap up the interview, because we're coming up on our time here for the interview, what advice would you give other caregivers out there who are struggling with feeling alone or inadequate, or what they're doing with how they're handling their situation?
Take advantage of every bit of help the VA is giving with support groups. Even if you're doing it on video, like there's one down in Boston. You have to, because none of my friends get it because they don't have a kid with brain injuries and amputee. They'll say, oh, she's looking good and she's walking with, she's going to be just like she was. And I said, no, you don't understand.
That's right.
You have to have somebody to communicate with that gets it.
Yeah.
That you're in the same boat, that you can commiserate with. If you don't have that, you're going to be lost. And I'm, as you're probably aware, I'm a very strong-willed, that's probably where Lisa got it from, take charge. I was in law enforcement, and you have two choices, and I tell Lisa this all the time, because she's with brain injuries, you either have a happy person all the time or a negative person all the time. Well, I got the bad straw.
Well.
And she's negative all the time. And I tell her, I said, you got to get out of that pity pot. I said, you cannot undo what happened 7 years ago. You have to get on with it. So there, I don't know if you saw it, there's a book that is, journal that's on the table. Well, there's two of them. One of them is a journal for everything she's mad about, everybody she's mad at, and I said, write it down because tomorrow you won't remember. But then there's another book that's her happy days. And I said, if the sun came out or the birds are singing outside your bedroom window, you'd write it down because in a few hours she may not have the recall because in her mind everything is bad.
So
And
write
I
down
say,
when you're happy. Yeah.
You have to have something to look back on. Hey, that wasn't such a bad day. Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah.
You know, and I would highly recommend that to anybody that's a caregiver to especially family member, that they have those options, because a lot of people with brain injuries get very negative. And she'll say, I don't know why God didn't just take me. My life sucks. And I said, well, you know what? You're here. There's a purpose you're here. I've heard from people all over the world about her. And they said, Sandy, she is such a role model. For her to have survived the life-threatening injury she had, and she's still here, we can survive anything.
Yeah.
So it's given them some
Hope.
hope.
Yeah.
You know?
Hope is powerful.
And like I say, there's, VA says, what do you do when she's pushed all your buttons? And I said, take my little dogs and I go to my end of the house as long as she's laying down or sitting down.
That's right.
And I cry for a minute and then I come back out and okay, we're going at it again.
So your big advice is for a caregiver is be a caregiver to yourself too.
Oh yeah, my best friend's out in California and her daughter is Lisa's age and she died 2 years ago. And even though it wasn't from a brain injury, she had severe medical problems. And when I'm having a bad day, or Carol's having a bad day, we call each other because, we've known each other for 55 years.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But a lot of people aren't lucky to have that kind of person, because we can say anything to each other, and we deal with it.
It's great.
I'm pissed today. Yeah, sounds like it. Well, what are you going to do about it? But yeah, if you internalize everything, you're going to burn out.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to handle caregiving.
Chuck, any final thoughts?
Yeah, one last question before we head out. If you could describe Veterans to Veterans Group, how would you describe us and what we've done?
Oh my
for
God,
you
you guys are a life changer, because before I met you, I was really kind of lost. What am I going to do? I've got to bring her home. I haven't got the bathroom done. How am I going to deal with
I
this?
remember that now, yeah.
And I gravitate to military because
Right.
we've been 5 generations military. So
Right.
even though I wasn't in the military, I was surrounded by it all the time.
Yeah.
And you can't talk to civilians about it. They do not understand. They think that, oh yeah, you're back from the war and everything's fine and just get on with it. Excuse me.
Right.
And I'm sure they get tired of listening to us, but
No, that's the way it goes.
And the last thing I would have to say is that you are one of maybe 3 people we've worked with over the last 7 years that reaches out to us just to see how we're doing.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen
No.
very often.
oh, I
So
worry
I
about
think
you when
it's
I don't
great.
hear from you guys. Okay, what's going on? What are you in trouble
And we
for now?
love it. We love the fact that you reach out to
Well, you
us.
also know, Eric, that I'm a mother hen. I mother hen everybody.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
When I had Lisa and my younger son Michael and her son Cody or Dakota in Afghanistan 1 year, all same time. And how do you cope? This is how you cope. They didn't have blankets. They didn't have a lot of things. Military wasn't getting everything to them. So Lisa let me know, and I put an article in the paper, and I said, I need donations of blankets. And anything else you can think that I'll ship.
Yeah.
I could not get the military to put the crap on the plane that was going to Afghanistan. I spent about $3,000 on shipping in a year. Shipping stuff to them. I shipped 350 blankets. I had a group here that was making, it's called Material Girls. They were making quilts for
love
the
that name.
troops. And they went out and got material with flags and stuff on it.
Yep.
And when the box, the biggest boxes that the post office would take, huge things. And I'd ship 6, 7 of those at a time. And they would open the boxes in formation in the morning. And the tears that somebody cared about them, because a lot of the young kids that were over there thought that they were just abandoned by their country. everything I could think of, I was shipping to him. I was making cookies. I was anything that I could put in a box and ship to him, I was shipping to him. And the guy at the post office ticked me off. He saw me bringing in these huge boxes all the time, and he says, "What are you doing this for?" I said, "Have you ever been in the service?" He said, "No." And I said, "Until the day that you sign on the dotted line that you're willing to give up your life for somebody else, I don't want to hear it."
Yeah.
So he won't wait. He won't wait at me at the post office anymore. But
That'll do it.
I said, "You don't understand. Those aren't just my kids over there. They're all my kids."
Yeah. And
And I
everyone's
said,
kids. Like,
They're
Yeah,
military is family.
it is.
I don't care if you even know them. They are our family. We do not have the same relationship that people in civilian life have. It doesn't work that way.
I think you exemplify our motto,
Absolutely.
service.
And
Perfectly.
every level.
So if I call it, because I don't hear from you, well, are you sick?
I love it.
I love it.
We think it's a great, and it's a reminder too. It brings us back because we get caught up in all the new and crazy things we have to do. It brings us back to day one, like when we didn't have an office and we were
Out of the
running
garage.
like it was.
Yeah, you were in the garage.
It was like a whole
Freezing
new
cold
thing,
with
so-
the heater. All right. Thank you, Sandy.